Okay, this is one of many interviews I'm doing today. It's probably going to be my most favorite because, for one, it's two artists that I have together. For another, you might recognize at least one of them because I think they're on this Netflix production. But I'm going to have them introduce themselves to you. So we'll start with you, Michael.
Very good. My name is Michael Townsend. I am the subject of the film Secret Mall Apartment, which covers not only that, but also just my work as a public artist and collaborator
Mhm.
with.
Leah Smith. My name is Leah Smith. I've been collaborating with Michael for probably 15 years on a variety of different projects, tape art, dance. I'm just a community artist in Providence, Rhode Island.
Very nice. I want to start off talking about background in terms of education for both of you. Now, for Michael, I know that you, of course, went to the Rhode Island School of Design.
Yeah.
And for you, young lady, tell me a bit about your background in terms of how you got into art from an educational standpoint.
Yeah. I went to Wheaton College. I was a medieval studies major, which, not a lot of things to go off of once you start down that path. I think when I told my parents that I was switching over to do art after college, they were like, whoo, finally, something that she can eat with. So that's a little tip. Yeah, I met Michael doing community dance projects down in Providence while I was in school, and we just felt like our movement was really good together. And so we started to do other types of art once I moved into Providence. So it was like video projects, dance projects, and eventually I got to a place in my life where I just like didn't really know what I wanted to do next. And tape art was sort of there as a catch basin, like, oh, you want to come to a mural? Give it a try. And
Gotcha.
I really loved it.
Very nice. Now, Michael, on the flip side of the fence, because you have taken a good number of years of education, we always like to ask folks, there are some that are self-taught. There are some that swear by having a huge array of educational resources in their pocket. Where do you stand on that? Meaning, have you done continuing education? Do you still think that that was in your best interest to proceed with this degree?
Yeah, I think reflecting on it, I would say all the art that I do, which is the tape art, film, sculpture, dance, are all the things I didn't specifically learn in school. So every medium I learned in school is all the stuff I do not do. So I have a bachelor's in printmaking. Ink has not hit paper in well over
Gosh.
30 plus years. In fact, my senior year at school, I didn't do any printmaking. I just did sculpture installations the entire year in abandoned buildings and dragged my professors out to see those sculpture installations. And they're like, we
Sure.
love it. We love it. It's great. Uh, I think that education, of course, is important, but what art education gave me was a 4 year a window where I could build momentum with
Yeah.
peers who were definitely interested in making art all the time. So basically, it allowed me to sort of take myself off of a leash and just run through the field. And I did go on to get a master's in art education,
Mhm.
and that's because I had been out in the field doing community art and working with such a wide range of learners. I think we calculated that I've worked with over
Like 60,000.
60,000 students. So because of that, you can imagine I have a deep, deep interest in how people learn and think about art. And so I pursued a degree in art education because they had a minor or specialty in community art. I was like, this is where I hang out. And I wanted to find out, especially why arts is such a maddening exercise for adults. Why are they so mad
Mm.
about it? Like, you ask an adult to draw, tears. Just
Yeah.
the theatrics are immediate. Uh, and that was not time well spent. Because I can openly say I learned more from just doing it than I could from any academic environment. There was almost no light shed on
Right,
my
from the community
practice
art side, yeah.
from the community
Yeah.
art side.
I
Uh
gotcha.
yeah.
Okay.
So and then I went on, I did a 10-year stint of teaching at RISD, undergrad and pre-college. And that
Oh,
was
okay.
that was my opportunity. I learned more from that than I learned from all of the time I spent paying the institution for art education. I learned more from getting paid a little bit to teach.
I understand. Now, I
Definitely.
want to talk about teaching because that's super important. I teach as well, and I understand how vital and crucial it is to pass on knowledge to other generations. So,
Mhm.
for you two personally, please tell me if I were to ask you just to name two or three of the most significant things that you pass on to your students, what would
Mm,
those be?
yeah. Well, we teach primarily our teaching is focused around tape art. So we're teaching a collaborative medium. And so one of the biggest things, oh my gosh, rattling off a short list is the ability to sort of operate in ambiguity
Mm.
for a long period of time is a valuable lesson where you're like, I am not sure exactly where this is
Right,
going.
to not have a place to finish when you start. So you're not heading in a specific direction, or you're heading in a specific direction, but you don't know where you're going,
Yeah.
because that's where you can actually create something as opposed to just producing something.
Right. In our teaching methodology that we are able to sort of introduce the importance of asking for help.
Mm,
Important. So this is also, so that's about being able to communicate to somebody else what your ideas, your dreams, your schemes, and where
Mhm.
you'll need assistance. And that's a skill that you
Yeah.
learn. And that's rooted in empathy because it's not only asking for help, but it's also being able to identify when someone else needs help.
mhm.
And with this medium, you're able to sort of apply yourself in a way that sort of works towards the greater whole. And there aren't a lot of other visual mediums that allow you to behave in that fashion.
Sure. I
And then
understand.
maybe lastly, I think that we've had great joy in giving people an opportunity to sort of make mistakes
Yeah.
in front of each other.
Yeah, because the tape can be peeled off, like it's hard sometimes in other mediums. We see a lot of like, especially like high school students who are like good at art, who find
Mhm.
themselves like stuck, like
Mhm.
because they want it to be some sort of way. They would describe themselves as a perfectionist.
Yeah.
Um, and the tape, being able to peel it and stick it and move it, like there is no erasing process, there is no, oh no, paint over process. So it really allows people to make mistakes quickly, and you have to do it in front of people, so it is like a bit of like a risk, but it
Sure.
is like allows us to like get them, a little bit more used to like, going fast and then trying things out and then like changing course in the middle because they know that it's not there forever.
No kidding. If I were to ask you, can you both tell me something you've learned from your students?
Oh
Hmm.
yeah.
Mm,
It's just like I'm always deeply interested in what when I taught sort of in a proper art classroom environment, the process I was always intent on following was the idea that every artist, every person, just people, not artists, just people have intentions. They have sort of, there's a driver. And my job is to try to help identify what the drivers and intention are, and then marry them to processes that will help them see a through line to making art. And so that that's where we've sort of act as like clearing houses for new ideas because we say,
Yeah.
hey, you know what, this would be really great in song or in or this is about appearance
Right.
and we need to teach you how to sew so you can build the things that are going to express the thing that
Yeah.
you're trying to
Or you need to
express.
change scale.
You need to change scale, super small, super big. So that's where I learn the most from the students is about what art mediums are out there that are going to help people express themselves.
Mhm.
It's
Okay.
not, yeah.
And then I
Gotcha.
think within tape art itself, I mean, I've been teaching for probably 12 years of the 15 I've been collaborating with Michael. And you assume that like as a professional, you've seen it all. But literally, every other week or so, we'll see people manipulate that material in a different way. It offers itself as a drawing material, but also as a soft sculpture. So
Mm.
seeing people like rip it or tear it in ways that are like actually new that I have never seen before in the like thousands of people that I've worked with. So it's like always very surprising to like still find that like this material I've spent thousands of hours with like can surprise me, and that like
Hmm.
that comes from a fifth grader or, a 17-year-old or a mom or anyone. Like we've seen people just like approach the material so differently. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's exciting always.
Oh, I bet it is. And I apologize to the audience. I should have mentioned the tape art is your specialty, of course. One of
Yes.
the things I want to talk about, and there's a bunch of them, but first off, I want to start with I know that you offer workshops as well. So I'm curious because it's tape art, it's a little different than some other forms. So do you find that there are specific demographics that appreciate this art more so than others?
My gut reflex is no. Because we've worked with such a wild range of people. So we are working in psychiatric facilities, the people
Yep.
who are there until they are safe to themselves in society. We've worked in prisons, and then swinging the pendulum to the other side of things, we did close to a 10-year stint doing corporate leadership training with General Electric. So we were with GE for close to 10 years.
Wow.
And that was an awesome run because they had us coming regularly to their top leadership center globally. It was called Crotonville. It's in
Okay.
Ossining, New York. And they would just put us in rooms with the last 2 years, we were only with the executive band. So that's the top 3,000 people in the company. And they would just put us in the rooms with like 100 of them at a time. And we would make them draw in teams of 10 to 15, and they would produce extraordinary pieces of art.
Yeah, people who are not
Not
artists.
artists.
Yeah.
Really incredible work. And there's something we learned.
Mm.
That's something we learned from these fine folks is that at GE, we close to a decade with them, worked with everything from their big people at the beginning of the leadership training, 20s and 30s, to people at the near the end, executive
Yes.
band, 50s, 60s. The people near the end, the best drawers.
No kidding.
They blew the 20 and 30 and 40 years out of the water. And so the question, of course, becomes, how are these adults who are the whiniest about art, who are just like they just want to make millions of dollars and just be left alone? Why are they putting them in the room with us? So the lesson here is that the leadership training they've received during the course of their careers
Yeah.
translates very well to how they execute tape art drawings.
Yeah.
And so when we see a drawing done by a group of people that's definitively not as strong as another drawing in the room,
Yes.
that is an opportunity to talk about places where they can improve
Right.
their leadership.
Is it
chops.
ideation? Is it getting halfway through a project and losing momentum?
There you go.
Communication? Is it taking risks? So there's all these sort of like leadership skills that you can have that can also be good art skills if you think about art more as a process than a product.
Very, very nice.
Yep.
If I were to ask you both, please give us a very concise description of what you believe tape art to be.
Good question. Well, tape art is, as we practice it, is a form of temporary muraling. It's using adhesive tape to create temporary drawings and images on walls, floors, ceilings, and surfaces.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in the shortest form is sort of it's a grand exercise in freedom.
Yes.
There we go.
And that is freedom to treat the built environment, that's all the buildings we see every day, as canvas.
Yes.
And then in a best case scenario, it is a space, it's a medium that allows people to be seen and heard in the public. And that's and in our best case scenario, we're able to take people who are not often seen and give them a public voice.
If I were to ask you, in this particular art form, is it more expensive than some of the others that are done? And then second of all, what made you choose this specific genre to work within?
Yeah, so those questions actually overlap each other because it is historically a very cheap medium. So the beginning of tape art was in 1989, right here in Providence, Rhode Island. I was 18, working with a group of students when we started this whole thing.
Right, you were a student also.
I was a student. Providence at that time was a little bit of a ghost town. It was in a transitional moment, so a lot of the buildings were free game for drawing. But we removed our work every 24 hours. So we sort of created a cycle of trust where even if you saw our work and you knew who we were, and you're like, I don't like these giraffes. You know they're going to be gone in 24 hours. So you
Right.
let it go.
Yep.
That trust allowed us to get really good, bigger, faster,
Yeah.
bolder. And so by the time I was 22, we're getting called to other cities and given large buildings. Like I remember the first time we went to Cleveland, and I was like, they're like, here's a skyscraper and here's a 40-foot ladder. Enjoy. Because the medium is cheap, that allowed us through our 20s, to me through my 20s, to draw relentlessly.
Hmm.
It also allowed us to introduce it to any community, regardless of how deep their pockets were. And that's a really big deal.
Nice. Yeah.
First tape art drawings done with other people were in community centers that could, bluntly, would never be able to afford paint or arguably more expensive materials. The amount of square footage tape covers per dollar is radically low.
I will
Sure.
say that the tape has gotten more expensive
Yeah.
in the time since, the
Yeah.
start of tape art. So it is
Yeah.
not quite the absolutely cheap option.
Yeah.
If you're looking at markers or pencils, obviously those are going to go a lot farther. But if you're looking at
Mhm.
things that cover outdoor spaces in large format, tape is still a really good option, especially if you're not looking for something that's gonna stay there forever.
Yeah, I
Something
gotcha.
yeah.
When you first start off and sit down, like for instance, myself as a writer, I talk a lot about this. The fact of the matter is, I wish I could say I woke up with inspiration every day and yes, I'm going to write a beautiful piece, but that's not how that works in writing land. But we're talking about tape art.
Mhm.
So for you and your inspirations, does the well ever run dry? Do you ever feel like, yeah, I just have nothing?
I don't think with the idea, especially for tape art, I think Michael could speak more, maybe to people who are
Yeah.
curious about his other artworks. But for tape art, it's always just an idea, an issue only comes across when there's compromises. So sometimes you look at a
Mm.
large wall and you're like, I can see what needs to be on that wall, but I only have this ladder, or I only have these resources, or this
Yeah.
amount of. So really, we never run out of ideas for things to draw because we have the community to inspire us, we have the building itself to inspire us, and then we have everything that might be going on in our head to inspire us. It's only when we get to buildings where it's like, oh, I can see the vision for something grander than we have the resources to accomplish.
But
Yes.
in general, no, we've never had a shortage of ideas. It is truly
Wow.
infinite. We, even on some of our biggest murals, we can be booked a year or two in advance,
Mhm.
and sometimes we're coming up with what happens the day we arrive.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So we like that. We like that pressure cooker thing because, as we talked about, like the work can be sort of changed in progress. It can grow and be a reflection of the
Responsive.
viewership and the
Yeah.
feedback we're getting. And that's a ride we're always game to be on.
Look at
So
that. And
yeah.
as far as when you are working, I know that you've mentioned the psychiatric facilities. I know you go to children's hospitals. Do you do private commissions as well? Because I presume you do.
No.
Really?
Yeah. We have been staunchly, and maybe it's bad business, but like we've really held on to the belief that with tape art specifically,
Okay.
that it should be accessible and free to view. And in my 20s and 30s in particular, I turned down so many jobs where they're like, hey, we'll give you $10,000 to come in and make this mural inside
Yeah.
this space, but you have to get through a security guard to get to it. And it's just for, and I was like, no, I'm not doing it.
Hmm.
If you have to pay to see it, that puts up a red flag for us, and we have to have a lot of conversations about it.
I
Right.
hear what you're
So
saying. I
yeah.
get you.
We do take sponsors. So if people wanted to sponsor a mural that
Yeah.
is out in the public,
Mhm.
we are
There you
absolutely
go.
interested in those types of opportunities,
Yeah.
because
Okay.
people funding art for the community is something that we're like,
All in.
yes.
All in.
Absolutely. Okay.
But turning art into a prisoner, no interest.
I get it. I
Yeah.
understand. I
Yeah.
do. if I were to ask the two of you, if you could tell me the most impressive piece you've ever done in your own mind, and also please tell me, is there one that was heartbreaking for you?
Mm.
Oh gosh. Impressive? Does anything impress you?
I mean, tape art wise,
Yeah.
the 98 Hygeia mural was
Oh, so
very
good.
intense.
Yeah. So that's an early impressive.
Mhm.
We've made stuff I'm more impressed by.
That's true.
Yeah.
One of our favorite pieces was at the Brooks Museum down in Memphis. It was called The Woman Tree. It was inspired by an artist that they had in their collection at the time. I think they still do, Carol Clore. He's one of our
Okay.
favorite painters.
Yeah.
Okay.
And yeah, we got to work on this beautiful white building, and we drew this like giant blue tree full of like all the leaves that a tree would have, and in the tree were these like girls, and the idea was that they had been chased into the tree by this crazy panther, and they had been in their trees for so long that their hair had grown down several stories all the way to the ground. So they had like real like ripped hair that went
Okay.
multiple stories to the ground.
Oh my
And
gosh.
all those portraits of the girls and women all were on cell phones. And so you looked up and you just saw all these people on cell phones in the tree. And then we opened up Instagram accounts for all of them. And so we had the employees at the museum run their Instagram accounts. And so if a visitor came and you knew about it, you could friend and follow them. And they were just talking to each other constantly for 20 days.
Okay.
And that was
Wow.
a work that was visually dead on. It had the sight lines were amazing. The audience was amazing. And that's a work where we invited the public to remove it on a very specific Saturday.
Yeah.
And it rained that day. And we're like, oh, no one's going to show up. 500 people showed up to tear it down. And it was
Wow.
it was so much fun. We had a boom lift. So to get to the stuff that was, 10 feet and higher, 10 feet to 35 feet up. And it was a ticketed line. So people just stood in line and we would take them two at a time up in the boom lift and they would just point where they wanted to go. And we'd bring them up there and they'd rip off the tape and throw it down to the kids. It was a good time.
I bet it was. It sounds amazing.
Strong
My
work.
gosh.
Strong work, yeah.
So the most heartbreaking has there been a heartbreaking piece for you?
Sort of. I mean, I would say that the September 11th memorial ends up being
Yeah.
a heartbreaking project for a multitude of reasons. First, the subject itself, of course, was just
Yeah.
so intense. And in brief, what we're talking about is that in the late 90s, we had started experiencing scenarios where we were doing memorial work. So we were
Yeah.
doing tape art in response to tragedies and loss of life. And so when the World Trade Centers fell, I had a studio in Jersey City directly across the river from it. So through my
Oh,
studio window
wow.
is just the World Trade Center. And so in the aftermath of them falling, we are, every day just looking out at this smoldering, pile of rubble. And through the lens of memorialization, we're like, hey, we need to get out there and do something. And so we made the decision. We're like, what would it mean if we went out and we drew a life-size silhouette of everybody who died? So basically sort of say, let's a placeholder for all those lives that were lost.
Yeah.
And at that time, nobody knew what that number was. That number was all over the place. It was like 7,000, 5,000, 4,000.
Yeah.
Nobody knew the number. And so we said, okay, who do we know for certain? And it was like, and then the New York Times published that 2-page spread of every fireman who lost their lives. I think it was 343 faces staring back at you. And it was devastating to look at that. And we're like, okay, we'll draw these. And then we'll also draw all the airline passengers because those are the numbers we know for sure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we set out over the course of what we thought was going to be 1 or 2 years to draw life-size silhouettes of every single person on the streets of Manhattan. And before we drew them, we did as much of a deep dive as we could to find out who they were as people and who they had left behind. And this is also, you got to remember, pre-Web 2.0, so pre-social media. Your conversations are happening inside of forums on like legacy.com and memorial websites. This project took us 5 years to complete. we wanted to share it with the public very badly. So we built a colossal website over those 5 years, thousands of web pages that sort of took all the documentation and made it so those families that lost their lives could see their loved ones portrayed in art and sort of put it into larger context. And when we finished it, it was just at the wrong time in regards to where the internet was. Web 2.0 came along, the iPhone came along, and within 3 years, that project, our online attempt to share all of that artwork, was unusable. The databases broke. It just wasn't, it wasn't designed for phones, and we had to pull the
Yeah.
plug on it. So, in regards to heartbreaking,
Mm.
we put all that effort in to sort of share this work with all these people who had experienced such tragedy and loss. And it's only now with the Secret Ball Apartment movie where people are finding out about that project for the first time. And pretty much every day
Yeah.
we get
People are reaching out with like names of people and asking if we can send them documentation of their person who has passed. And so like it has been really nice to get those requests because we can actually share this work back out.
yeah.
Aw, nice. If somebody were to ask Cindy what's the favorite piece, I'm not gonna lie, Atari Safari. I'm like, dude, vintage, old school Atari Safari, I love it. I'm like, that's so awesome. But
That was
again, I'm
yeah.
not the norm, but I was like, tell me that's not a badass piece, right? I'm
That
like,
was for a
that's
gaming
awesome.
convention.
That's
So
a good
fun.
piece. That's a
Yes.
gaming convention, and it was in a room that anyone could enter into. And for the super nerds out there, that the design of that was the motherboard of an Atari 2600.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So, so,
Wild.
so we know there was at least one person in that room that was like, "Nice work."
Yeah, I mean that's that for some of us who are like 80s babies, etc. And I still play Atari to this day. So I'm like, this is way cool. This guy actually did something like this. This is so awesome. I'm
I,
like, great. Now, I knew when I did this interview, for one, I knew I'd like you because your name is Michael. The love of my life was named Michael. And even more ironic, you both have a Toyota Corolla. I was like, I just saw you posting your Toyota. I'm like, the best guy ever. The best people own Toyota Corollas. So I'm like, that looks like you've been holding on to that thing forever. It's almost like a piece of artwork, isn't it? Like
yeah,
seriously.
yeah. I started.
It's called Magic Car.
It's called Magic Car. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's worth noting. I grew up in a military family, so that means that we're creatures of the interstate.
Yes.
My grandfather, Navy, Pearl Harbor, the Pacific Theater. He had a '69 Chevy Impala that he drove to 490,000 miles, doing all of his own repairs, and then sold it.
Wow.
And on his deathbed, a day before he died, we were having a conversation. He's like, you know what? I shouldn't have sold the Impala. I should have brought it to 500,000. And I vowed to him on his deathbed, I was like, I will drive the Corolla to 500,000.
Look at
For
this.
you.
We're at 475.
We're 475.
I'm super impressed. Like the mileage on this one here, because I have it here, it's probably like 140,000 miles. But you know, the muffler is gone on it and all this is gone. And well, Michael is gone now too. So I'm like, I kind of keep it because it's sort of his piece of art. You know, so many wonderful things happening there. But I was like, how ironic. His name is Michael. He owns a Toyota Corolla and he's a dancer. Oh my gosh. So the dancing element of this, because to me, dancing really is an art form in and of itself, just like tape art would be. So tell me a bit about what you believe that dancing gives you that maybe tape art does not.
Oh man.
Yeah. Oof. I mean, there is a lot of crossover, but I think that dancing is a way to interact with music that while tape art music is always going during our murals, like it's not like dance is more of a response to the music. So it's
Yeah.
allowing that music to sort of fill us up and like creating shapes with our bodies that like sort of drawing, but with your physical form
Yeah.
in response to a medium music that we really love and appreciate, don't make, but really feel moved by.
Yeah, so some of the crossover is that we don't choreograph anything very intentionally. So our entire practice is based on fine-tuning our capacity to respond to the shape of music and the shifts in music in real time.
Okay.
And so we take we take great pride in making dances that are good, like good, solid performance pieces that are unrepeatable. Like we'll do a dance and someone will come and be like, my gosh, that was one of the most beautiful things I have ever seen. And we know we'll never see it again. That's it. That was the one-off.
Well, and I noticed the chemistry here, like, and I
Yeah.
speak about this, I have spoken about it before. I believe that you truly need to have a sound and solid chemistry between the two of you outside of dancing to be able to create something so spectacular on a floor. Am I wrong there? I mean, I feel like it wouldn't work otherwise.
Yeah, I think the nice thing about us as collaborators, if I can say, is that I've been doing tape art for a really long time.
Yes.
So what was critical about our collaboration is that we met spending the first 2 years together just working on dance and film projects. So we spent the first 2 years tackling issues and problems that were
Right.
new and fresh to both of us.
Tripping over ourselves and tripping over learning film work.
And so we were
Exactly.
able to sort of like anchor ourselves in an art practice that really belonged to us. And so by the time Leah falls into the tape art fold, the seeds
Yeah,
are
it didn't feel like I was like an understudy.
right. Exactly. She's a critical collaborator who starts doing tape art and now runs tape art. And so she's really the backbone of the operation is Leah at this point. And
You're just the talent.
I'm just the talent. So
Just the face, just like you're just
I'm
over here, do your
just the
thing. That's
face.
You're
that.
just the front man. Get out there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I forgot to ask this, but please tell everybody so that they know. How did you two actually formulate a partnership together? Where did that come from?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we met doing community dance projects here in Rhode Island. So we did a form of dance called contra dancing, which is a community style dance like square dancing where everyone, young, old, and in between comes together in a room to fiddle music and dances together. And for several years, we just did that and sort of would run into each other in these spaces and have a really good connection, really good dance connection. And eventually we're decided to dance outside of that connection. So we would go to abandoned buildings and we would just put on a boombox and we would dance for like 6 or 7 hours at a time. And it was not pretty, but we would watch the film back and we would be like, that looks good. That doesn't look good. And sort of building a dance vocabulary together. Yeah.
So, and here you are now.
Here we are now. Yeah.
And I guess I should ask, I know for you, Michael, you have a significant other. Is your significant other in the creative arts as well?
That's for you. Is Emily in the creative arts?
Oh, mine?
Yeah.
I thought it was yours.
Yes, I said Michael.
No, no, she's not.
She's in humanities.
She's in the public humanities.
Oh, now that's interesting.
Yeah.
Some people will say the best relationships work when you're both in the same field. I tend to believe that because we were both in the same field together, but sometimes opposites attract in terms of occupationally, and that works. Now, for you, young lady, well, do you have a significant other? And if so, are they involved in the creative arts?
I do not have a significant other currently. I've dated other people. I think that it can be challenging if you have like big projects. So I think one thing that you can see in the documentary is that, you know, having large projects that take up significant amounts of time can be a strain on relationships where the other person like really wants their person to be around on a weekend. Like weekends mean something to some types of people. They don't really mean anything to artists oftentimes, where you get to like Saturday and I'm like, well, you know, I'm going to go to like work, and I will call it work sometimes to others, but just so that they understand the importance and gravity of it to me. Cause you know, but it is like art can sometimes, you know, spread outside the boundaries of a 9 to 5. And I think that's the only place where I have found in any past relationships that you cause like some misunderstandings and some tension.
Oh, I gotcha. If someone were to watch this interview today and they are not in your position, meaning they haven't done it for many, many years, they're not, you know, rolling in dough and doing incredibly well, and they're 3 seconds away from quitting, what would you say to them?
You get at bare minimum, you got to write your ideas down. Bare minimum. Like, even if you're not going to do them, put them on paper, put them in a notes on your phone. Honor your ideas by writing them down. I can't emphasize this enough, because 4 or 5 years from now, maybe you'll find some space. And if you have a pattern of ideas, you'd be like, wow, some of my ideas really have a lot to do with chairs. Maybe that's a clue.
Or relationships.
Or relationships or film or something
Yeah.
like so that's the bare minimum. Even if you're not inspired, even if you feel like I don't have the time or money, put it down. And then you may find that there is a desire to not just write it down, but make it happen. And but unless you're engaged with it and honoring those ideas, the needle's not going to move forward on it.
Okay.
So,
Gotcha. Well, my only other question is, looking at the artist that you are today versus the artist you were when you first started, what do you see as different? Or are you any different at all now?
yeah, I think one of our biggest struggles, no, I mean, we started,
You're very far from your artistic start.
oh my gosh, yeah. I think one of the big things that happened in the last year, and this may not sound like a big deal to others, but it's huge to us, is we started using social media. It took me, I am not, and
It's
please
just
tell me.
like a totally different way to share art and try to make art accessible. Like, we are public artists, so very comfortable being outside on walls, and like if anyone walks up to me, like, we're having a conversation. Like, there's no problem with having conversations and sharing our artwork, but it's been a real shift in thinking about like what we make and like why you're making it, how you share it, to now be in a totally different format, which is 30-second videos, minute-long videos, videos that are need to catch people's attention in 3 seconds, those types of things, like really create a different way that you're like looking at even the things that you do every day. So that has really changed, like, I don't know, I guess it hasn't changed our artworks per se, but it has changed sometimes bits of the process, because sometimes where we would normally just be like zoned in, like I'm just going to draw these 700 leaves and like allow myself to meditate, sometimes there's now an extra step where you're like, should I put a camera on this? And sometimes that feels good and sometimes it doesn't.
Does not feel good. Yeah, to illustrate that point, I would say that if there was a stadium of 20,000 people and I'm backstage and someone ran up and like, Townsend, you have to kill 5 minutes on that mic. Like, do anything. We need 5 minutes. Like, no problem. Have it, like, I will walk out in front of 20,000 complete strangers and wing it. I would have no fear at all. If I walk off that same stage and you're like, hey, we want to post this video we just shot of you doing that thing. Would you mind writing some copy for it? I would fall apart. I'm like, where are we posting this? What are we doing?
Sure. I'd
be like, I would dread it.
Yeah.
To the level that most people would dread going out and standing in front of the 20,000 people live.
I get you. Got it.
That's a shift for me. A huge
Oh yeah,
shift.
I bet it is.
Willing to sort of like to sit and I like doing this. I like doing interviews.
Okay.
And talking, have these types of conversations, but to record and edit something in our studio that is viewer centric and sharing what is effectively like very personal and voyeuristic stuff, that's a huge shift in mentality.
I gotcha. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So January 26th, this little movie came out called Secret Mall Apartment. Now, people have had many things to say, but because you are a subject in this film, I'm hoping that you have somewhat of a different view on this. So let's start off in the very beginning. You are one of 8 participants in this. And so as far as the 7 participants in this, we learn about them, of course, through the film like we do with you. I'd like to ask about your relationship then and now, and have you all stayed in contact, and what's been going on with that? Has this been like a new resurgence if you haven't been seeing them?
Yeah, so the group of artists that did the Secret Mall Apartment are 8 people. I want to emphasize that group of people worked on the September 11th project for 2 years leading up to the Secret Mall Apartment. And that's an important timeline thing to mention, because that's 2 years where we were really becoming sort of like emotionally bonded to each other.
Yeah.
And I found myself using the phrase like just doing push-ups for the Secret Mall Apartment, because we're doing illegal art on the streets of New York City and recording it. And so eh, our friendships and our art focus was really rooted in the September 11th project. And so that's a 5-year project of which the Secret Mall apartment overlaps the last couple of years.
Yeah.
And when the September 11th project ended, that's when we sort of parted ways. And I am forever grateful for these artists who sort of put so much focus on it and kind of put their careers on hold a little bit in those last couple of years to put their energy into it. 3 of them went to New York City. The other 5 are up here still in Providence. We're all still friends with each other.
Okay.
Which was wonderful. I still hang out with Colin quite a bit, and I live within 20 feet of Greta, so that's nice. We haven't all been together in the same space, but things change over time.
Yeah.
Most of them have children. We all have different careers. We all have different pressures, and the movie does a really good job of illustrating a group of people during a very specific emotional time period
Yes.
where there is so much trust and love between everybody. I think that's one of the positive things that people can sort of see and feel when they're watching this movie is like, wow, these guys really like each other.
Oh, without a doubt. And I thought it was so
Yeah.
admirable, your election to say, listen, yes, we could have done this film back here, we could have done it here or here, but you were so insistent that everybody needs to agree to participate in this project, which I thought was hugely admirable. You don't see that very often.
We're really good at saying no. Like just and it really I there's no to your point to emphasize what you just said, if any one of those 8 had said I'm not doing it, I would have shown no interest in doing the movie. Just
Nice.
none. Like, and then that's one of my only sort of like uh there's no room in the movie to deep dive into all of the other people. Like a lot of the focus is
Yeah.
on me as the
Yeah,
through line storyteller.
correct.
That said, James, one of my favorite visual
Yeah.
artists of all time.
He's amazing.
We don't see any of his work in the movie, of course, and he's very humble and you know there's no promotion. And when the movie was released, there was no website that had like links to all of our artworks and Instagrams and websites. So there has been sort of we've heard this in the message, sort of a hunger to know, like, what does everybody make? Like
Yeah.
who are these? So it's like, is there another Netflix series where you sort of spin off and have like the Greta show and the Colin show and the Andrew show and the Adriana show? Like, uh, everyone is remarkable educators and artists, and I love that so many years later they're still involved in those fields and making work
Yep.
that is the sign of their maturity and growth.
You
And
bet.
yeah, if I'm like honored to have spent that much time with them.
Well, and when we look at the director that chose to take on this project, I guess what I was wondering is what made all of you put your faith and trust in him? Because you're literally putting yourself out there very naked and very vulnerable, could have done anything here. So how did you know, hey, this is our guy?
He uh he
We met him when he was doing a documentary already. So we
I
got to see
gotcha.
him. We met him spontaneously, me and Michael, in Greece, in Athens, when we were doing a large tape art project for a festival.
Mhm.
And we saw him doing a documentary on Lily, who is a domino toppler for his previous documentary.
Okay.
So we got to see him at work. And
Yeah. So we got to watch him interact with the subject. We got to watch the sort of rhythm of it. And we were drawing on a glass structure on top of an opera house in Athens, Greece. And so we literally were drawing on glass and watching him at work for hours at a time. And in chit-chatting with him, I realized that I had seen some of his previous movies. I was like, wait, Jeremy Workman of The World Beneath Your Feet, Jeremy Workman, like the guy who did the movie about that guy who walked every street of Manhattan. You're that guy? It's like, I love your movies. And so we had the great fortune of meeting somebody who has a niche in making movies about artists. Like he likes the challenge of trying to take somebody who's maybe a little I don't know,
off the beaten path.
off the beaten path, maybe a little obsessive, and making them approachable to a larger audience. And so between watching him work, seeing his previous films, and the fact that the story had continued to be folklore for so many years, it sort of felt like the time had come, that it was a good time to sort of let the story be out there.
Okay.
And yeah.
And I know you're obviously not the director, so you may or may not be able to
Yep.
address this question, but I was very curious about, because you have footage that is not a year old or 2 years old or whatever have you, there are a lot of challenges and complications that come with that. So can you speak at all to just how tough this was to try to restore things to the quality, to where you can put it on Netflix and actually be watchable?
Oh, definitely. So the footage for this film was shot on a early and mid 2000s digital camera called an Optio Pentax S4 and S5i. That footage was never shot with any intention that anyone would ever see it. It
Sure.
was not made for public consumption. It was a
Home video stuff.
home video, it was in-house
Yeah.
footage. And we parked it on our hard drives. I'm going to turn my camera so you can sort of see
That's
this
fine.
thing. See, those are hard drives.
Yeah.
There's 52 terabytes of footage and art projects sitting over there. And Jeremy
Okay.
Workman was the first person to be given the hard drive and ask the question, do we have enough footage here to be the framework for a movie? And he came back right away. He's like, it's awesome. It's shot in a cinematic style. The biggest issue, though, is that it's 320 by 240 pixels at 10 frames a second with mono audio.
Oh boy.
It is a filmmaker's nightmare in that sense. And this is the type of footage that you do not see in even documentaries. Like there's sort of it's a very odd way to capture video. He had to do a lot of leaps to upscale that footage to make it usable. This is using new AI techniques, the specific techniques. I can't speak to them, but I know they had to do some pretty heavy lifting to make it.
Yeah. If you think it looked grainy in the film, you should see the original version.
The original is designed to be, it's the original video looks like 3 large postage stamps in size. Like that's the best way you can view it. It is like smaller than the palm of your hand.
Okay.
Is the best resolution of that video. And when this movie premiered at the mall,
saw it in IMAX.
We saw a preview for it on IMAX. I got to see that footage 6 stories high.
Wow.
It was so
Holy
good.
man.
It was so, I was like, wow. This humble footage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I like is that when I've watched teenagers watch this movie, they see that footage, and for them, it's a romantic throwback footage. Like they really connect with the graininess of it in the way that you and I might connect to like a VHS style or like a high 8 or an 8mm footage where you see it and you're like, oh, the olden time footage. So.
And the place we're talking about, of course, to those that may not know, is the Providence Place Mall, which is where a lot of this takes place, of course. I won't say too much about it because I don't want to give too much away. The basic premise is that you all decided that you were going to make the mall your residency. And so some people I know that I've read where they were like, okay, let's think about this a minute. How realistic is it that they skirted around all this time with nobody catching them? You know what I mean? Like you're going to have naysayers, which you do. They're literally saying, hey, and did it ever occur to you? Did you think some people's audience reaction was going to be like, oh, come on, man, there's no way they could have done this and done. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, this is incredible to believe that you actually pulled this off for such a significant amount of time. You know what I mean?
Yes. And this is a question that's come up in Q&As actually.
Oh,
so
sure.
I've done close to 100 Q&As. That means the film is shown, and then right after it ends, I pop up out of my little birthday cake, and I'm like, surprise! Let's talk about the film. And so a question that comes up is, could this happen in 2025, 2026? Like, is this something that is unique to that time period? And I think the answer is yes. And
really,
in the fact that no, it could not happen now.
Right.
Got it.
Right. So it couldn't happen now. And at the heart of that is the use of cell phones. So I believe that in all of our motion in those 4 years, moving objects, cinder blocks through the parking garage, just sort of like being a presence inside the mall, that's something
Yeah.
about our rhythm that wouldn't tip off security necessarily, would tip off somebody who works at the mall or frequents the mall. And I think that there would have been enough of a popcorn trail of documentation from third parties
Mm.
Just being like, look at this weird guy in the mall I saw today, right? Like
Yeah.
not even like ratting you out, just
right.
like, a lot of videos online are just of like, see this weird stranger that I caught on film.
Yeah. And then you have 8 artists who had sort of sworn to secrecy. We will not share this work. We will not, and the idea of posting the work wasn't a thing at that time. So if you have 8 artists all walking around with cell phones that can stream, share, every image goes to a
Yeah.
cloud, at some point it's gonna leak, right? Like, so I think it's a unique time period because when you could point a video camera at yourself and it ended there. It ended at the camera. There was
Yeah.
no expectation that it was going to go anywhere else. And I have heard an echo in questions and in comments online that there's sort of a nostalgia about that. The idea that you could go through a day without being seen or recorded, that you didn't have to share everything, that you could actually have secrets.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And the journalist in me has to ask these questions because it's just morbid curiosity. For one, do you think that it's possible, based upon this film and its popularity, that malls literally will consider the fact, how secure is our location? Do we need to worry that we're going to have another secret mall apartment scenario?
Well, that was the mall's number one concern when I was initially caught. They the mall was owned by a company called General Growth Properties. They're in Chicago. They own
Yeah.
250 malls. So this is happening out in the outer rim and around Providence, and they're like, we can't have a repeat of this.
Yeah.
And so their solution was, let's just stick lawyers on him. Let's try to punish him to the point where it's clear that if you try to replicate their successes, you will be punished also.
Yeah.
And in the heart of their campaign was an attempt to take all of the copyright and intellectual property. So that was their legal
Oh,
argument,
boy.
was that since it was all done in an act of trespass,
Yeah.
it's theirs. Uh, Unbeknownst to them, copyright law, one of my hobbies. I love it so much. Like, love it deeply. So that was a fight I was like really excited to be in.
Yeah.
I don't think that there are better places to set up shop than a mall.
Yeah.
I think
Yes.
that if you're brainstorming, it's not even going to crack the top 50. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
Well, and then there's the whole, oh my God, how are you people not worried about like rats and mice and like the hygiene part? I'm watching this and I'm
Oh,
thinking, are they just oblivious or high all the time? Because I'm like, they're just living in this. You know what I mean?
all right. Well, first of all, the first year was spent cleaning out the space.
Right.
Like really
Yes.
that, and to do that, that's a heroic effort because we have to bring in gallons and gallons of water and
Sure.
guard things. We had to take any
Carry
debris
it out.
Yeah.
out of the mall. So we're just like, dude, we're oddballs because we're like literally backpacks full of like dirt and debris and just bringing them out to other construction sites and
Yeah.
dumping them out.
Sure.
The premise of like bugs and rats and mice, like I spent a lot of time in abandoned buildings. It's rare that you see those things.
No kidding.
Incredibly rare because they need food. Period. If there's no ecosystem of food, they're not there.
Yeah.
I can guarantee
Okay.
that everyone in their own homes has way more mice and rats and stuff than we ever would had in that space. So
Yeah. It's like
Um,
a space that's surrounded by so much concrete that like
right.
it's not near natural organic matter. You have to go through a lot of concrete to get to that
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
Oh, I bet. And we talked about this before we started recording too. I think most people that watch this on the very surface level, they kind of stay there. They're like, oh, this is a story of these 8 folks are living here, etc. But it's not really just about living in a mall. It's obviously talking about things like artistic freedom and artists and things like that. So you, as the main participant, what is
Mm.
most important to you that people remember about this film?
The thing that I am the most enamored with, as far as like the idea of it being a document that will live on past me,
Hmm.
is the art education side of my brain totally satiated. So my life is sort of split evenly in half between these like big art projects that run the gamut from like esoteric stuff to public art projects. But then the other half is about public engagement and getting people excited about art and thinking about
Yeah.
art. And this movie is quite unique in that it shows a body of work that is a pretty full spectrum, from kind of uh esoteric performance art pieces that the majority of people would be like, that is not art. You can't use the word art to describe that. But in the same breath, it's showing these underground sculpture installations where most people would say, okay, that I get. I see sculpture, that's art. And then they see drawing and they're like, oh, that's art. But is drawing in a hospital art? Or is that just community service? What I like about the movie is that it provides a lot of opportunities to think about what art is and where
Hmm.
art could be or should be. And at the end of the movie, Jeremy put together an incredible supercut of voices from starting at the Met, curator of the Met, giving us enough of an indication that perhaps what we've just witnessed is in fact art. And as the voices get closer to me, we
Hmm.
get to my own girlfriend and my brother, and they're the ones who say aloud, I'm not sure. I don't know if this is art. I don't, and I am so moved by this because I know that within any given audience, it's really important to be seen in your perspective about what art is, and the
Yeah.
movie provides you a chance to feel that. And if the movie does a good job of bringing people closer to an understanding that art is a much bigger umbrella than they understood before they walked into this
Yeah.
movie, again, my art educator brain is thrilled. Like the fact that this thing did 9 days in the top 10 on Netflix is an art education victory.
Oh, big time. It is
Yeah,
truly. This
yeah.
isn't your average movie either. You know what I mean? Most people want
Mm.
a comedy or a drama and they all fall into those particular genres, but yours is way outside of the ballpark there for many different layers. It's not just one thing. It is a story about where you're living, then there's a story about the art. And I love the backstory and the history that he gives about the mall and the area and the neighborhoods and people being, losing their homes, etc. So it isn't just really focusing on, yes, the antics of you and what you're doing, but there's a much larger, bigger periscope, or I should say just spotlight, that he puts on all these different areas, and he puts it together very nicely. It isn't, the runtime's not too long, the characters are certainly not by any stretch of the imagination dull, I can tell you that. um, if I look at Michael today and I say, if I asked all 8 of you today,
Mm.
going back,
Mm.
still stand by that decision, do it all
Oh,
over again,
oh,
would you have?
yes. At the heart of it is a ton of loss and heartbreak, though. Like
Oh yeah.
to take on this action, I have to lose a home to start with. I have to watch my entire community of artists get dispersed into the wind. Like 300 to 400 artists lost their homes and studios in
Yeah.
less than 2 years. This is a massive cultural shift in our city.
Yeah.
Within that loss, the September 11th project, loss, the tunnel project, there's no information in the movie about what it's about, but it's about loss. And then we're working in these children's hospitals that are just running against time, just doing everything they can to make sure that there isn't more loss. And all these different artworks are methods and ways to address that loss in real time. And this goes back to something we initially talked about. Like, you have intentions and then you have processes that address those intentions.
Yeah.
And in our case, loss was the theme. And through many different mediums, sculptures, tape,
Mhm.
performance art pieces inside of malls, we were able to address those things in real time.
Yeah. And also, I guess what I'm wondering is do you think that commercial developers will look at this and think to themselves, we really need to look at the loss that's involved here? Because I think oftentimes business is just business and no one's really looking at faces and names and art and what that means.
Yeah, not to be cynical, but I think the answer is just softly no. I say that from the perspective of in the movie, it shows footage of me at one city hall meeting. What's not shown in the movie, because it doesn't make for good movie making, is that I did that for 2 years. 2 years, I went to every city hall meeting, every single development conversation about that neighborhood. I was on the insider group, so I was behind all the closed door meetings,
Yeah.
constantly haranguing the people at City Hall and City Planning's office. Super boring work. And that's at the heart of protest. The heart of all protest and activism is so boring because you're just trying to advocate for change, and you can only make change if the people at the top decide, yeah, sure, we'll do things differently. So to
Yeah.
your question, are they going to see this movie and have a change of heart? No. Because at the end of
Maybe people who are doing the activism will.
maybe.
Yeah.
Or maybe, and this is the heart of it, maybe the 10-year-old, 15-year-old, 25-year-old who sees this movie and becomes a city planner will have this as a seed. So they remember that as they go
Yes.
forward with these decisions to transform their cities, that there are impacts that are unseen sometimes. I think this movie does a really good job of illustrating in the most absurd way how these development projects impact people.
Yes. I'm very happy to report, and folks, just so you know, no jail time with this, which I was very
Nope.
happy to read. I'm like, yes, I understand it's trespassing, but no jail time. I know that you have, from what I've read, approached the actual mall about doing art pieces at the mall. So has there been progress on that, or do you think that's actually going to happen? How ironic is this, by the way?
The irony is real. The mall is in receivership. So that means that they are so bankrupt that a lawyer stepped in and they're like, hey, look, we're going to give this mall a team of people to help guide you out of the mess that's been made.
Okay, got it.
Last March, the receivership team made the decision to show the movie at the mall. So its commercial launch in movie theaters was at the place where the crimes were committed.
That's progress.
That's progress. And one of the first questions they had to answer is, what do we do with this guy that's been banned for 17 years? How do we deal with this? Because
Yeah,
there's going to be some questions about that. And
sure.
their team, again, a receivership team, so they don't own them all. They're just there to try to make good decisions. And frankly, if you're bankrupt, the only thing you got left is goodwill. And what goodwill? They allowed myself, and you were never banned, but we I was officially unbanned, and then we proposed to them immediately. We're like, hey,
Yeah.
can we do tape art? Can we draw at a minimum life-size portraits of all 8 artists, and we're going to scatter them through the mall as like
Okay.
a
scavenger hunt?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, go for it. Huge hit. They're like, okay, what if we take this beautiful wooden model that Collins built, this replica of the mall, and we know that the Tiffany's, which is in the most important location of the mall, ground
Yeah.
floor center, is abandoned. So there's nothing in that Tiffany's. We'll put the model in the Tiffany's in the window, we'll light it well, and then we'll put tape on all sides of it. And they're like, yes, do that also. It's like, and while we're at it, how about in the movie theater itself, we build a soft replica of the apartment. Now, the apartment is good. The replica is going to be just a couple of stories above where it actually was. And
God.
so this movie premiered, and I did, to give you a sense of how wonderful and hectic it was, in 4 days, I did 26 Q&As.
Oh my Lord.
Oh, yeah. And everybody who saw the movie came into the movie lobby.
Sat on the couch 2 stories up.
2 stories up. The movie lobby that's in the movie itself.
Yeah.
So they walked through the spaces they just saw in the movie and then just sat in something that was visually close enough to what they had witnessed and
Yeah.
it was perfect. Kismet. It was a wonderful experience. And That was it. That was our great
Yeah.
our great
I mean,
unveiling.
we've done some community art projects a couple
Yeah.
times. And so we've gotten like some groups of families who have
Yeah.
come and done some work on the
Okay.
wall of the mall. We haven't figured out like what big project would fit perfectly because it is a very weird building and getting people into it, like getting
Yeah.
audiences into a
Yeah.
specific space in it is a little bit odd. And some of the best spaces in the mall are like not very accessible. So we're still trying to figure out like what might be like the perfect project that like will
Yeah.
draw people in and be like a good art piece.
Yeah.
Understood. I get you. Now, did they give you any inclination how long the movie's going to be on Netflix? Do you have any idea when it's out? Because I know they kind of replace and add, and you know the drill. No clue.
No, no clue. Uh,
Uh-oh.
I think I had heard that perhaps it's going to be there. It's a licensed period of time. I don't know what that period of time is.
Okay.
So,
I
if you
get
do
you.
have interest in watching it, like, check it out.
Yeah, I was gonna say
I don't
because
have
it
no idea.
started, yeah, 120. So January 26th. So I'm
Yeah.
guessing a 30-day window. That would be a good guess. I mean, it
Agreed.
seems to be like that's the drill. I mean, folks, but that doesn't mean you should wait, of course, till
Great.
mid-February to watch it because it's on Netflix right now, of course. If I ask the two of you for any upcoming events, appearances, if people want to meet you, what can they do?
We have one residency at a museum in
Okay.
Brattleboro, the Brattleboro Museum of Art.
Mhm.
They are going to be extending their galleries into an administrative building. And so they have this building, but there's nothing in it. And we are visiting this building. We're like, you have an empty office
Yeah,
building?
we're gonna take it over for almost 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we're going to run Tape Art Megacorp. So it's going to be a ongoing
Interactive art
interactive performance
experience.
piece
Okay.
where you come there and we will give you on-the-job training, and then you'll have all the pressure of tape art put upon you.
Wow.
And every single office space, every conference room, every server room, they're all going to be filled with tape art installations and drawings done by the
Okay.
people who come to visit the space.
Very, very nice. And if folks want to reach either one of you on social media or otherwise, how do they find you?
Yeah, the best place to find us is at Tape Art. That's our Instagram. We're also on YouTube at Tape Art, and then we're online at www.tapeart.com. So you can email us directly there. We are sort of planning different events as this time goes on, especially since the movie has been so popular. So
Yeah.
any information about like new events or where we're going to be is all going to be pushed out through like social media.
Okay.
So.
Wonderful. This is what I'd like to say to both of you in closing here. I think that one of the few things that artists ever really get to hear on a regular basis is how much that they're needed or appreciated, or that their contributions mean so very much to people who've seen you or have yet to see you, as a matter of fact. Um, I am one of the many artists that are indebted to both of you because you are taking an art form that's not well known. You're taking it and making it popular. You're using it for good and you're influencing others to be more inspiring and engaging and entertaining. And number one, that's very inspiring. Number two, the gypsy in me is so excited by the fact that you went off and did something so rebellious and awesome and crazy and silly and illegal. Just saying that, kids, don't really think about it. But I'm like, that is very badass. And third of all, and most importantly, I hope, my one hope is that not only are people more drawn to you, not just because of the movie, but because of the fact that you've shown yourselves to be truly very inspiring individuals. So thank you so much for all of that.
Oh, thank you so, so much. We can't tell you how much we appreciate such good questions and your time. And hopefully people will get a chance to sort of check the movie out because it's a nice way to possibly get inspired,
Then get out there
get some good
yourself.
ideas, exactly, and then get out there
That's
and make some
exactly
art.
right. Let me just
Absolutely.
stop this here.